Hey guys, Truth Waves here. Um, it's been a while since I've done one of my longer videos. I'm sitting outside, so you may hear the wind or the wind chimes. I am truthfully grateful for every single individual that, comes across these videos or is an avid listener to, Truth Waves as a whole. This channel has grown since it very first started, and I appreciate the individuals that continually seek growth as well as look at these videos as either an example or encouragement or something that they could build upon in their own personal, outlook as far as life, relationships, everything that is concerned with just developing a better, case for themselves, meaning each and every single one of you. So I wanted to talk about, just things with life. And what I mean by things, I'll define or put in a scope of what things I'm referring to. And that is how you behave. And with that, that's just one thing I want to cover. I want to cover a couple more things. With how you behave, meaning how is your behavior throughout the day? Meaning, let's say you wake up and you're getting ready for work. You know, depending on your schedule, you may be a day shift person, you may be a night shift person, you may be a mid shift person. Who knows? I don't know. That's your story. You know what I'm saying? It's what you're going through, you know? And with that being said, how are you going to wake up? What behavior are you going to adopt? Meaning, keep with you that morning. Let's say you get up, you hear your alarm, you're like, I gotta get up, I gotta get ready for work. What are you gonna do? You brush your teeth, you shave, the simple things. Some of you may take showers because you take a shower in the morning. At this point, I'm, just rambling on with that list, but it's important. It's important and it ties into it because what type of behavior are you going to have throughout that process? Are you going to have a behavior that, shit, I'm just down completely in the dumps, which is understandable. You may be going through a lot, whether it be this or that. I can list out a plethora of different, situations that you may be in at that moment. And I've been in a lot of different situations, and I'm still going through different situations, and I'm learning to adapt and grow with that. But what I'm getting at is, first off, in the morning, the behavior that you have is important because that's going to set you off for the rest of your day. Think of it as a foundation. Everyone says, "Oh, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed that morning." Like this is a common saying. So, with that being said, if you have a behavior that leans towards, that attitude, what are you going to do throughout the day? Someone's going to notice and they're probably going to be like, "Oh, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed." Or they're going to say, "Oh, man, you're doing you seem like you have a, good attitude right now. That's cool." They're going to see the behavior through your actions. And what I mean by actions is the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you hold yourself. So, having a behavior that is beneficial not only for yourself, but for the people around you is the goal. Ideally, you know, meaning in a good set environment, surrounded by somewhat decent people, because we're all flawed and we're all imperfect. You'd want someone to have a good behavior, someone that doesn't get into trouble, someone that doesn't start any trouble. And what type of person are you going to be? Again, it goes back to you waking up. How do you wake up? Are you going to wake up and choose to have a behavior mindset that pushes you towards growth, that pushes others towards growth, that allows you to overcome said situations, whatever it may be? Or are you going to let whatever it is you have going on fester inside of you and choose to have a bad behavior and outlook and let that carry throughout the day? And still, again, this is something that I am also improving upon. This is just something to ponder on and to encourage an idea of challenging your own perspective. All right. I seek myself, I seek to reflect and grow pretty much every day. Now, again, there's some days where it's like there's not a lot of growth. Sorry, looking down and stuff because there's mosquitoes out here and they're attacking my legs. But it's all good. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about is just a behavior. You know, what type of behavior are you gonna adopt? Is it an ideal or good behavior, or is it not ideal, a bad behavior, so to speak? Number two, all right, this is important. Okay, ooh, that was a big cockroach. Very, very important. What is your goal? Now, you may be questioning where I'm like leading into. What is your goal for that day? It doesn't have to be something that's like, whoo, shoot for the stars. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something as low to the floor. Think about it this way. You wake up in the morning and that day before you had all these different thoughts, or maybe you had very little thoughts. Everyone's different in their minds, in how they feel and how they function. But there's always something that us as humans, us as people, we want to achieve 9 times out of 10, if not more. So, come up with something. Come up with something that you would want to achieve. And that's something even in my own self that I'm seeking, that I'm searching for is ways to achieve my goals as well as setting those goals for the day and for life. But these three things that I'm speaking of, I already spoke on the first and the second right here, is just things within the day. Okay. So what are you going to adopt? Are you going to adopt a mindset of having that good behavior and allowing yourself to set a goal, set a target point, a focal point, so to speak? Are you going to do that? Do you want to do that? Do you want to achieve more and be the individual that you can be? I'm not saying that you have to. However, it would be beneficial to have goals for that day. And it doesn't have to be plural. It could just be one. Just be one goal for you, for yourself. And that's based on you. Like for me, for example, I typically set a goal of learning something new about someone else, or learning something new about myself, or allowing God to work into my life so then that way I can do more. And what I mean by more is follow and walk in that path, the narrow path. And it's not easy. But that's in my own life. It could be very well different for you, the listener, the viewer, the person that's going along in their daily life. We are all people. We all have our goals. We all have our behaviors. It's up to you to keep that pushing forward, to set that for yourself. All right? Thirdly, and I feel like this is also very important. I mean, all three of these things that I wanted to talk about are very important. And that is being open. Now, that's very vague. I mean, heck, you're probably like truth waves, dude. You could talk about anything, like being open. Like, what do you mean? Openness in here, okay, in your heart. Openness in your mind, because it's not just you. Every person has their story, and I've seen it throughout my life, even when I was growing up, is that people would shut out their stories. People would shut this out and be like, no, no, I don't need to listen to that. That's not true. Or that's inaccurate. Now look, there very well could be inaccuracies in people's stories. Very well possible. There could be lies, deception involved in all of that. But that's where we take that step in asking God, God, allow me to grow, to give me discernment, to give me wisdom and knowledge and know-how, so then that way I can effectively be open to other people's stories, and allow that for yourself and for other people around you. Because when you do that, not only are you showing compassion, but you're showing love for one another. And that's very important. It's key to not only your success, but the ones that you love, the ones that you allow to be open with you, and for you to be open with. Now, I'm not saying, hey, go out there, be open with every single person. No, that is not what I'm saying. I'm simply stating is the mindset of being open is important. Because if you take the other step, not going to the right, but going to the left, go in the opposite direction. If you take that other step away from being open, what's the opposite of open? It's closed. I mean, think, you're closed off. You're closing yourself off not only from opportunities, you're closing yourself off from other people that could be beneficial or already are beneficial in your life. And that's not good. It's not good to close off, because when you close off, you shut everything out. And let's say you're the individual that's like, what are you talking about, man? I just closed off a few people. Look, there's nothing wrong with isolating yourself from certain individuals that aren't allowing you to grow, to reach that higher level. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about in the perspective of the people in general that are around you, that you interact with daily, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, whether it be coworkers, whether it be that, gas station, clerk, whatever you want to call them, cashiers, doesn't matter. It could be the person that you buy tacos from. You know, they have their stories. I can't tell you how many times all I did was simply ask a question of, "Hey, how are you doing?" Yes, simple, straightforward. What did we get? I'm okay. I'm doing all right. What about you? And then you say, "Hey, I'm doing okay." And that's it. You can always take a step forward. Start noticing things. If you're not already noticing things, ask them about, "Oh, cool. You got a cool hat." I'm digressing. I'm devolving away from the topic, but it still holds true, is that if you're open, you'll notice things. And when you notice things, you pick up on things easier. And when you pick up on things easier, it makes things smoother. And that right there is awesome. Being able to develop that for yourself and encourage others to do the same. To not have that closed off mindset. To not, you know, be better. And that's what I'd say society, from my experience, from my perspective, is going against, is being better. And there's arguments for all different topics. And I could make hours and hours and hours of content of just me talking about different subjects, different matters. But it's about the approach. It's about the three things that I just mentioned. Having that good behavior, you know, being open, and just not staying stagnant. Having those goals, all three encompassed into your daily life, okay? And when you have all three, you're going to look at things differently. You're going to perceive things differently. Your eyes are going to be like, whoo! You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, it's freedom. Freedom from yourself. Freedom from just the chains of brokenness, of wrongness in life. In accepting and adopting a reality for yourself that you can be free. Just be open. Be the best version that you can be. And there's one last thing that I wanted to mention, and that's faith. Having faith in God. And I have many experiences, testimonies, so to speak, of just my own journey, my own walk, and others as well. You're not alone, and you're going to keep growing. And the best way to do that is to focus on God, to understand that God had sent Jesus. Jesus in Spanish. I'm just being silly. Um, to really show us the way, to show us where we need to be aligned. And not just show us where we need to be aligned, but to allow us to solely focus on God and the fact that He died. He died for every single person and the sin that it exists within humanity. Every single person. And some argue that. I'm not here to argue that. I'm here to tell you what I know in my life and what God has given me. And I want to pour it out to you guys. I want to pour it out to everyone that I come across. And just ultimately accept that. Accept Jesus in your life. And if you're sitting there questioning, whoa, I don't know, bro. It seems a little too much for me. Oh, I'm scared. Or, nah, I don't believe that. Or, man, God wouldn't do that because, why would God do that? Because of all this pain. Think, ultimately think. There was a time, and there still is the time, where God wants to seek peace with you. What I mean by that is God is willing to continue to love you and grow in you and cherish you no matter what. And we develop that relationship by having faith, fostering that growth in each other. And again, I am diluting, not necessarily the right word, but still, I'm diluting the topic. I'm getting away. I'm watering it down. Hard facts is Jesus Christ is real. God is real. Faith is real. You have to choose to believe, to have that connection with God. And when you do that, those first three things that I mentioned of having a good behavior, of not being closed off, and ultimately just setting goals, daily goals. If you have all four of those things of having God in your life and choosing to have faith in Jesus Christ, to have that backing of, whoa, I wake up and I'm going to choose a good behavior. Most Christians, most people would call it the be good attitude, having that mindset. And then having the daily goal, having that for yourself, and not being closed off, being open to perspective, being open to relationships, being open to people, understanding that every single person has their story. Whether or not you think their story is true is not entirely up to you. God is the ultimate judge. Again, I'm getting off topic. Those four things will make you more successful, not only as an individual, but as a person for God. And that is from my experience. And yes, again, there may be people out here that watch these videos. They're gonna be like, oh, well, you're missing this, this, and this. Look, there's a lot more to it, and I'm not gonna cover that in just this video. If you want to seek more knowledge, pray, ask God, seek God out. Not just pray. Read. Read scriptures. Ask God to guide you towards the scriptures. Ask God to guide you towards the word of his will, what is according to your life at that moment, because God will meet you wherever you're at. So again, for those people that are like, oh, well, where's the scriptures? Or, what are you talking about? Look, I don't have that time. I have this time, and hopefully later on I'll do longer videos, and I'll be able to implement that and put scriptures and little tags. But again, I'm getting off topic. Point being is, I love you guys, and I hope you guys stay true and stay blessed. And I just ask that, Jesus continues to use me according to the will of God, to be able to share with you guys, and just ultimately love on you guys. And I hope that you know that, whoever you are out there that may watch these videos, is that you are loved, and that God knows you and sees you. So keep on staying true. All right? Stay blessed, everyone.